Welcome, Avengers, to an action-packed episode 33 of Press YYZ, Wakanda Forever. We record live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern over at twitch.tv/PressYYZ. And if you've got Amazon Prime, you've got Prime Gaming. You like us? Great. We'd happily accept that if you haven't already given it to somebody else, but make sure to use it or you lose it. You can follow us on Twitter at PressYYZ, where we post updates about the show, our happenings, and everything that's going on in all of our lives. I'm your leader for the evening, Mitch George, joined by his head's in the clouds, AJ Fraser.
Happy birthday, Sega Dreamcast. 99.99, 21 years ago. Think about it. It's great.
He only does everything. Alexander Cozina.
Hey. What's going on, Internet?
The phenomenal Nathan McInerney.
I'm trying to figure out how I can grind around this room on my skateboard.
And our special guest, joining us for the first time, the Spoon Man, a.k.a. the man of many utensils, a.k.a. Allan Spoonr Martinez.
Avengers,
how you doing, buddy?
Assemble!
Yes.
Oh my God, I'm doing great.
So there's a reason we had you on. There's a reason we had you on this episode in particular, and that's because that new logo you're seeing all over the place, that was all you.
What? Which logo?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The one that's floating around the Twitch. It's floating around the Twitters.
I gave some feedback on that. I'll take a little bit of the credit. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah.
But yeah, you.
What was it? 5%?
Something like that. Yeah. Royalties from here until the time we decide not to use it anymore. No, you helped us out. We collaborated on this logo. We love it. So thank you. And we're happy to have you here, man.
Thank you guys for having me. It's I haven't recorded a podcast in over a year, and I'm very nervous, but I'm down.
It's here. Okay. We barely record a podcast every week. Sometimes it doesn't even really work out, so it'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
I'd just like to fart out of my mouth into this microphone, so it's fine. You'll fit in just fine.
Right. Speaking of farting out of your mouth into a microphone, AJ, you've been playing No Man's Sky?
I know, right? Crazy. It came out like a smelly fart 4 years ago, but I decided to dust off my PSVR and put it on and start using it. And I over the past few days, I've been playing just No Man's Sky in VR, and I think that is at this point not the only way to play. It's totally fine and plausible to play it and have an enjoyable time, first person or third person. But in VR, it just adds a completely different aspect to it. It's incredibly immersive, and I don't get I get motion sick in a car, but VR sick I have not gotten until trying to fly a spaceship in this game. So you take the two move controllers, and they're basically like your HOTAS stick, your typical flight sim stick, and you use your right one as your joystick and your left one on an angle as your thruster and everything like that. And it can be disorienting, and it can churn your stomach a bit, but overall I'm having a lot of fun with it. And it's very hard for me to sit here right now and not just turn around, put the headset on, and keep
just
playing.
Do it right now.
I could do that.
I mean, we're not doing anything better than that right now, right? We're just recording this, so I mean,
whatever.
I know I transitioned to that really quick, so I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. Allan,
sure.
You are a kind of funny best friend. You are an affiliated Twitch streamer, and give everyone the rundown. Who is Allan Martinez, aka Spoonr?
I am Allan Martinez, aka Spoonr. I started streaming maybe end of last year, and I can't believe it's already September. Yeah, that's bonkers. I stream at twitch.tv/Spoonr with 3 O's, no E. I hate that Twitch didn't let me do the underscore Spoonr, and now it ruined the rest of my usernames with Twitter and Instagram. But I have to deal with it. And so I've been streaming. I'm a Twitch affiliate. I am a KFBF. I actually didn't learn about Kind of Funny until a few years ago when I like got a job at Vaughn and my commutes started to be like at least an hour long there one way. And then a friend of mine recommended that I start listening to Kind of Funny because the guys were just so cool and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm starting to play more video games, so I'm going to start listening to more video game podcasts because they're awesome. And listening to more Kind of Funny content and taking in more Kind of Funny content sort of pushed me and inspired me to do more things in the video game industry. And that's when I wanted to just start streaming and start taking up stuff like that. But other than that, I am a full-time graphic designer. I'm a collector of things. As if it wasn't obvious already.
Are any of those things bionicles?
What's your top 3 collections?
What do you mean my top 3 collections? What does that mean?
What are your 3 favorite collectibles?
Oh my god. Okay. Signed statue downstairs.
Okay.
J. Scott Campbell from Sideshow. Photograph of me and Stan Lee.
That's a good one.
And a pair of sneakers. A pair of sneakers.
Collectible sneakers.
That was inspired by Spider-Man that released in 2008, which kicked off a sneaker obsession. So
you're
yeah,
saying
I am.
So you're saying that none of those 3 things are the limited edition Karzani model from Bionicle in 2008.
So I started collecting comic books in 2007.
No, Cozy, he doesn't have any Bionicles in his collection.
Oh, but one of the big things that I adore, if you want me to go into Lego, Cozy, this one's for you.
Okay, well,
Was
at least you
a
knew
wedding
that it was
present.
a subsidiary of Lego.
Oh, dude, I loved Bionicle when I was like 7, so you're good.
Aw.
My one of my groomsmen got me the Millennium Falcon Lego, the big one.
Oh,
The big boy. Oh, and I have Captain America's shield downstairs that are from my groomsmen as well, and that I adore with all my heart. There, that's my top 5.
cool. I'm pretty sure I had the exact Millennium Falcon that you have. The thing is that as a kid, though, I didn't do a very good job of upkeeping it and keeping it in one piece. And so I have all the pieces scattered around my house, but like,
Oh my
I don't
God.
know if I would ever be able to reassemble it.
Oh my
That's
god.
one of my biggest fears about, like, I want to start collecting Lego, like start little or whatever, but my one thing's like, oh god, I lost one piece and now I can't even look at this thing without remembering the one piece I lost.
I'm not. So here's the thing. I'm not like super upset about it because I actually got this Millennium Falcon secondhand from a guy who was selling it for like $40. So it's not like my parents gave it to me as a Christmas gift and it was this gigantic expensive purchase, but it was a lesson learned and I'm never going to repeat it.
Oh, it's a humble brag, but it's not the same Millennium Falcon.
Yours is like the super, like the high end, like the newer
It's the
one, right? It's the big boy.
It's the big-
Oh, I thought you were talking about one of the older models.
No. It's a big
No,
boy. It's
That's the
a big
problem with
one.
Legos now, is they're so dang expensive to get those really nice collectible sets, but
They are.
it is what it
They
is,
are.
I suppose.
But yeah, that's me. That's I am Spoonr.
Well, I mean, other than that, Spoonr, you play games, right?
I do.
So what games you been playing? Okay, so to let everyone know off the top, our topic of the show is going to be just discussing Tony Hawk and Avengers. We're not going to do any of our fun little shenanigans, our games and things like that. But so we're going to save the Tony Hawk and the Avengers talk to the end of the show. So other than those 2 games, I know you've been playing Avengers. I don't know about Tony Hawk, but other than that, what have you been up to?
I have been, other than collecting toys. Before Avengers, I was grinding out Ghost of Tsushima. I was actually on my way to finishing the game for a second time just for the story, because holy smokes, Ghost of Tsushima is absolutely incredible.
It's real good.
So I got my platinum and I wanted to just replay it before Avengers came out, but I was too slow because I still like to explore the world and take pictures and pet foxes. But other than Ghost of Tsushima, it's been Fall Guys. It's been a lot of watching Among Us, and I've started to play Among Us, and I want to get good at killing people. That doesn't sound right.
Go on.
No, that's exactly what it sounds like for Among Us.
And Tony Hawk is actually on my list. I think as soon as I finish the Avengers story and I start to play more multiplayer with everyone else, and I have more time to sort of pick up another game for the stream and stuff like that, it's probably going to be Tony Hawk Remake 1 and 2.
That's a good one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one I'm probably like, okay, so to tangent a little bit, if anyone did catch it, we did build my PC that's been sitting in my living room for the last 3 months, or no, not that long. Time is weird right now. So I'm probably going to pick up Tony Hawk on the PC just to, let's play an old game on this really super high-end PC, because why not? Literally all of you.
Oh, that was weird. Don't worry, we're back.
Oh.
We're good.
Yeah, I saw that on my end too. That was weird. But it's just been, Among Us is, oh my God, it's ridiculous how much fun you can have lying to and killing your best friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so good.
And turning off the lights and cutting out everyone's oxygen.
Setting off a nuclear reaction, nuclear meltdown. Yeah,
exactly.
Have any of you guys, like, I know Allan and I have been playing it, Cozy, Nathan, TJ, or AJ. Why I say
all
TJ?
I know is
He's
that
in the chat.
All I know about this game is that it's become like a gigantic success on Twitch against all odds, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's crazy because the game came out 2 years ago. One developer, I believe, and 2 artists.
That sounds right.
And it literally did not blow up until last week or something like that. It's been picked up by big streamers and everyone's just been playing it. It's bonkers how it blew up.
Yeah, it's funny too because they've already announced a sequel to the game. So development on the game had basically stopped. And then it blew up the way it did. So now they're like, oh God, our servers are held together with band-aids and duct tape, and it does not like once you get into a game, don't leave the game.
How much money they made in like a week and a half.
It must have been ridiculous because the game's only $6 on Steam and it's free. Ad enabled on mobile. Yeah, free on mobile with ads. So it's crazy. It's so good. Like I was playing with the Kinda NYC crew last night, and it was, oh my God, it was just it's such a fun time. Like I want us to do a stream of it. It's that good. Like it'd be so much fun.
It's such a simple concept, but like stuff like murder mysteries and things like that is actually such a blast to play with friends.
Yeah.
I watched I watched the Giant Bomb folks play this, and I watched a couple of the offline TV let's plays of it. And it looks like it's something special, and I'm surprised it took so long to like finally get discovered. That's that kind of crazy.
Offline TV, I think, were the ones that like helped to skyrocket it. Yeah, absolutely. I've never heard of offline TV until recently, because of this game, because of like Valkyrie and stuff like that, because she's going to start partnering up and teaming up with them. That's I'm pretty sure they played a big part in blowing up us. So
apparently too, it didn't blow up in the West right away. It was actually, I linked an article in the Twitch chat, and I can send it out to everyone else later, but there's an article from Kotaku with the developers, and like some random streamer in Korea found it and made it super popular, and then a YouTuber in Brazil picked it up, and it just sort of steamrolled from there. Like the US and by extension the Canadian audience, we're actually a little late to the game when it comes to the popularity of Among Us. It's kind of crazy.
That's nuts. That I didn't know. I had no idea.
Yeah, no, I wanted to talk about it tonight a little bit because I found that article so interesting. But yeah, that's essentially, it's crazy the way that it's blown up.
Did you mention where it was developed?
I can find that. It's in the article. I think it was Sweden.
Because now I'm curious about that. Oh, okay.
Sorry, this is not great content because now I'm just scrolling through stuff. So someone else fill the air while I do that. Leave it to the other
side of the world to find a gem, though.
Really, I don't think you want me filling the air.
Not at the moment, no.
You got some big queefs?
Oh, yeah.
I did not need to hear that on stream.
Excuse me. Is this normal? Is this a normal occurrence?
Unfortunately.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Listen, queefs are totally natural part of human biology. It happens. It's nothing to be embarrassed about.
I was also going to say, like, I feel like if you're going to describe a fart, I feel like a queef is a fun way to do it. You know, it adds a little skip in your step when you say it. It kind of dampens the blow. It makes it something you can bring up in casual conversation and everybody can
dampens the blow. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah,
it is more fun to say.
All right, the About Us page on their website doesn't say. Oh, Washington. Oh, okay. So it's an American team.
Cool.
Oh, I was wrong. I was thinking about something else. You know what? I was probably thinking of something else I was playing for review, which I think was out of somewhere in Europe. So that doesn't matter at the moment. What does matter is me getting back to the dock and knowing where we are, because this is going real well so far. Cozy, what have you been up to other than I know you've been in Avengers as well? What have you been up to this week?
I mean, to be honest, not really a whole lot. Like, other than playing through the campaign of Avengers, I've basically just been like catching up on a bunch of chores and assignments that I've been putting off for a while, and of course updating the look of the stream that you're currently looking at right now. I did, like, I mean, this isn't something that I did, but I am no longer currently writing in an official capacity for Gamers, GVMARS, the YouTube channel that I produced short form documentary style videos for. You will still continue to see some videos that I wrote for the channel come out over the next few months / year. But I figured it was time to kind of move on and, you know, invest more time in Press YYZ and invest more time in other avenues as well. So that's really all there is to say on my end.
Well, I hope we were worth investing in, because from the way this episode's going, I don't know.
What are you talking about?
Oh, we are off the rails in the best way possible. Nathan, I know you've been our big Tony Hawk advocate, but outside of that, what have you been up to this week?
Not a huge amount besides Tony Hawk. I'm in love with that game. We'll talk about it a bit more in a bit, I'm sure, during the topic of the show. So I don't want to get too into the weeds with it quite yet. When we can have a girthy conversation later. But I have played a game for review called Party Hard 2. So Party Hard 2 is, I'm trying to think the best way to put this. It's what you get if you took Hotline Miami meets Hitman.
Oh.
So essentially it's like an over-the-head style game. It looks very similar to Hotline Miami in terms of like pixel art and that sort of thing. But where in Hotline Miami, you just go in and you have to kill everybody. This one here, you find things around the part, like you can walk fully around and not attack anybody, pick things up, combine objects, set traps for people, and you have people that are targets that you need to eliminate in the party. So you can kill everybody if you want to, or you can just try and take out the targets selectively. And you can, like, for instance, I would one of the things I did was trigger a water cooler to electrocute people when it walked by, because the water got to the floor and everybody who walks by it would get zapped. You can knife people if you want to knife people. You can I threw a grenade onto a dance floor and then snuck out like the back like a back exit, and it blew up, taking the people out. There's lots of unique, interesting ways you can do things in this game. But really it's a really neat experiment. And it unfortunately what I was really hoping for was the Hitman aspect to it, where kind of like you approach it every time, and every time it's a little bit like it feels similar, so that when you try it again, it makes you like, and you fail, you go back in and you try what you were working on again. But there's an element of randomness to this game about where your targets are, that they constantly move around. So just because one strategy worked for you the one time doesn't mean it'll work this when you have to redo it, which I felt a little bit of frustration with.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds interesting.
But it's local co-op.
It's a really interesting game. I played on Switch. I know they were initially going to give me a PS4 code, but I asked for a Switch code just because I was going to my in-laws for the weekend. So the other thing, I did find it was easier to play on the big screen versus the handheld. The pixel art's really nice, but on the small handheld with the screen, I'm finding this more and more with a lot of Switch games. It's harder to make out everything, where on the big screen it was really nice and everything was really visible. So, but yeah, no, really interesting game. I wish it felt like I said, more similar to a Hitman game with the without everything, just constantly people moving in, like people being in different positions. But yeah, it's a good time.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, it doesn't look really like I've never been one to vibe with Hitman or Hotline Miami, so it's not really for me. But I mean, if that's the kind of thing you're into, it sounds like a blast. And you mentioned you were at your in-laws for the weekend, but you weren't just at your in-laws this weekend. And I know I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but you actually helped me build my PC.
I define help very loosely.
You screwed some screws and held some flashlights and ate my pizza.
I tuned in for like 3 minutes. You helped a little bit.
3 minutes of our 6-hour stream of putting this thing together.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a lot more work than I had expected it to be, and I was sore for a couple days after that. Like just squatting over my table that whole time, like my hamstrings and my back were just like, you shouldn't do that. Or if you do that, do it more regularly, because it was not easy to get up the next day. But the thing runs like a dream.
You're
running
using
this
it
show
right now. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was going to say for the show, it's great. I am considering dabbling in streaming at some point soon, probably after my hiatus for getting hitched, which will either be the next 2 weeks or just one of the next 2 weeks. We'll see. Depends on.
Are you going to stream the honeymoon?
Oh, you know it. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh my.
IRL
Wait,
stream?
can you do that on your personal account so we don't get banned?
No, we're still trying to look into a way to stream the wedding, to be honest. It might not be on Twitch, but it might be somewhere just so anyone who does want to
be there. At the very least,
be there.
Press YYZ will host it.
Well, yeah, you're going to host a Zoom call?
Yep.
I mean, you could technically just stream it and screen share it, but...
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever. Yeah, no, like that's been taking up a lot of time, just wedding planning and getting down to the nitty gritty. So, fun anecdote, yesterday I had to go pick up our marriage license. Which was no issue. You know, went in, answered the questions, did the whole thing, got out. But the way they're doing it now is only one person from the couple enters. You take everyone's identification and you just go. So my fiance wasn't there. So I called her as soon as I left and said, I've got real bad news. And she's thinking, oh God, couldn't get the license, something went wrong, whatever. Like, no, I got the paperwork, so now you have to marry me. Oh. She didn't appreciate the joke, but I did. I sure did.
Well, I mean,
once the paperwork's done, it's official.
Exactly, right?
Exactly.
Then you need to get like an annulment or, other things if you want to get out of it. So it's kind of official.
Well, yeah, and we're doing the whole church thing too, so that becomes real weird about whether or not God loves you if you get divorced and that whole thing. So it's just more work than it's worth.
Church in my wedding.
Yeah,
it's
my advice to anyone who plans to get married now, with COVID being a thing and not knowing when the world's going to get back to normal, just elope, please, because it's way easier. Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't like elope. On like a scale, like from not sexual at all to girthy, it's like 70% of the way there.
Hello?
Where does on that scale, where does moist fall?
I was just saying.
Yeah.
Let's not talk.
Moist is like 80% of the way there.
I do love the word moist.
Queef and a half go.
Queef is like 4.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. I think I'm starting to understand where it goes. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to ignore everything that was just said. And we've talked in the past about the fact that this marriage was preempted by an engagement at Disney. Spoonr, something you and I have in common is our love of Disney. And you watched something this week that I haven't seen yet that I'm very much looking forward to and want to hear what you have to think about, or what you have to say about Disney's Mulan live action remake.
Mulan was very good. Yeah.
Cool.
It was very good. I always go into the live action things with like the least amount of expectation. And I've never been the type to be like, oh, classics only. I think that's the worst way to consume things, especially if you like are truly passionate about stuff. But no, I enjoyed it. My wife seemed to like it a lot more than I did, but I think I need to see it a second time, but for right now, it's like hovering about a 7, maybe 6.5, 7 for me. Not so much 8, because 8 is like my great territory. 8 and up is like my great territory. That's where that's well above Queef and a half.
Where did you put Aladdin?
That's exactly what I was going to ask, because for me, that's at the top.
Aladdin yet. I haven't watched
really?
Aladdin yet.
Yeah.
I haven't watched Lion King yet.
Don't watch that.
Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast, I loved.
See, I just saw the Cinderella remake for the first time a couple of weeks ago.
The Hilary
and I
Duff
loved
one?
it.
The Hilary
Sorry?
Duff one?
No, not a Cinderella story. The one with Lily
That's
Allen.
called the Cinderella story, I thought. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm looking for. I think we might actually pick up Mulan this weekend and watch it, because my sister. I am the one who owns all of the streaming services for our family, and when she saw Mulan on Disney Plus, she's like, "You're going to buy that, right?" So now I don't have a choice, and I have to buy the early access for Mulan. But she's going to split it with me, which is all right.
Yeah.
And speaking of splitting, I think we should just split from what we've been up to and get right into the news for the week, because there's a lot that happened like today, but we're not going to talk about that yet. The one thing I do want to bring up before we get into the big news of today is the barrage of games that we're getting for Super Mario Bros. 35th anniversary.
Yeah.
This news coming to us via GamesIndustry.biz's Brendan Sinclair. So for the 35th anniversary of Super Mario Bros., we got a direct that featured Super Mario 3D All-Stars, a Switch collection of Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy, which is coming next week, if you can believe it. We will have that on September the 18th.
Mm-hmm. Interesting
about that is physical and digital copies of the game will only be available until the end of March 2021. In October, we are going to see a pair of interesting Mario experiences in the forms of Super Mario 35, which is a battle royale style game where you knock out your opponents by being good at Mario, like the side-scrolling Mario bit, as well as Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, which is an RC car with a camera attached to it that you play a game through with your Switch, and it looks ridiculous, and I really want it, but I can't justify the price.
Yes, you can.
I can't do it.
I want it too.
You can do it.
Boxing Day, Mitch. Let's get it.
Now you're killing me. Let's do it. All right, I'm in now.
Forward to. I'm probably not going to get it myself, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what Twitter does with that crazy ass Mario Kart game. I think we're going to see some.
It's going to be interesting. Imagine streaming that.
Ooh,
that would be interesting.
That would
set up.
I'm tempted now.
I just gave you a way to turn it into content, so you're tempted by it.
I just make a ramp down my stairs, and then that's just going to be part of the course. Oh my god!
So the Mario Kart RC car game AR hybrid will be available October 16th. On November 13th, Nintendo is launching the Super Mario Bros. Game & Watch, which is a new Game & Watch handheld with a full color screen and will play the original Mario Brothers and Super Mario Bros. 2, The Lost Levels, as well as Game & Watch Ball, a Mario-style remake of the very first Game & Watch title.
You gotta make sure that you don't lose access to that patent.
Yeah.
And finally, next February, we will see the arrival of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, a Switch update of the Wii U Super Mario 3D World, along with new content for Bowser. What do we think about all this? I mean, the big thing here is the limited time releases of both Super Mario 35 and Super Mario 3D All-Stars.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation going around as to why they're limiting it. Some of it, it could be related to, hey, we need to create some sort of false scarcity on our market share so that, we make sure we sell out of this stuff because, COVID hit us really hard or something like that. It doesn't make sense to me as to why they would limit it, but I
have one reason.
Sure, go for it.
Artificial scarcity. They've done it before. They did it when the Wii launched. Yeah. They don't really have anything else big for this holiday, so adding that limited time only flavor to their largest holiday release is going to sell more units.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah. Well, the Mario 35 thing though, it's free if you have Nintendo Online.
Correct.
So yeah, and it comes off the heels of them shutting down like a browser-based Super Mario battle royale like game as well, right? Because they either got the idea from that or they
it had to have already been in the works at that point.
I don't know. They just kind of put the Tetris 99 shell on this. And
I don't think how software development really works. It had to have been already in the works. These things take months, if not years.
Yeah.
Even for something as simple as this, because you think, no, like the networking code behind it, even if they are borrowing assets from Tetris, it's still different, right? It's not quite the same.
Sure.
So I don't know.
Different battle system too.
Yeah, but the time lock nature of it just seems scummy from a business perspective. But
I mean, coming from the world of collectors that I do, with everything being limited and scarce and stuff like that, and more valuable things are, the more limited the amounts of the amount of units are. I don't mind the move as much. I do think that it is weird. I wouldn't go as far as make it scummy, just because I guess it's because I'm used to this sort of thing. Like, I don't think I'm the type to like throw emotions into corporate brands. I don't think they're trying to be ill intent with these moves. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's to go against anything or anyone. I also don't think it's against the brand of Nintendo, because they have done it before. I do think it is a weird move, especially nowadays with the way video game industry is going, and just because like everyone's gonna want to keep playing these games.
Yeah, I think the physical limited run makes sense to me, because I mean they've done that in the past. They did that on the Wii for the 25th anniversary of Mario. They re-released Super Mario All-Stars, which also Super Mario All-Stars available in the SNES Switch Online app, and that game is great. So go play that. But it just seems weird in a world where it's digital, because so I have pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered it digital, but to think that people after March won't be able to get those digital assets makes me think that maybe there's something else in the pipeline of, okay, this is a limited time bundle, and then after that point, they sell all three separately for like $30 or something.
If they do that, that is scummy.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them.
If they do that, that is scummy.
But we're gonna have to wait and see.
I have an optimistic theory that Nintendo is going to look at the numbers of how many people play this and how many people play that, and they're going to see which one is going to be worth investing in again. So maybe there's going to be like a remake or a remaster in the future or something like that. I don't know. We'll see.
It's really confusing too, right? Because with 3D All-Stars, like I can only speak for myself here. I would have absolutely paid full price for a reimagined like Final Fantasy VII remake style version of Super Mario 64 or even Sunshine, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But they didn't exactly do that. They just sort of put this out again.
I'm glad that you said that, because I want to segue into asking, we know that we're not going to get full-blown remakes of any of these games in the vein of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Nevertheless, I'd have to imagine that we're going to see some small little tweaks and improvements here and there. How large of a tweak are we expecting out of these experiences? Because over this past week, I was reminded of some of Super Mario Sunshine's deficits through the tweets that you're currently seeing on screen. And I don't want to go through these experiences again.
So I've never played Sunshine, so it's actually the game I'm looking forward to the most. But I have heard that the analog triggers from the GameCube controller did actually play a large part in how that game controlled. So I am interested to see if that bit holds up. Also, motion controls in Galaxy were not fundamental, but they were a big part of the experience for anyone who had a little sister like I did that wanted to play video games with you and just wanted to waggle the Wiimote at the screen. And I just realized I did that on a stream, and now that's going to be a thing forever. But
someone needs to gift that.
I'm of the opinion that the trigger issue in Sunshine and the waggle issue in Super Mario Galaxy are probably going to be resolved more easily than we think they are. I'm really just more concerned about making sure that they tighten up and improve upon some of the challenges in Sunshine, because I have a feeling that Nintendo may very well not do anything with them.
I think that's likely the case. What
it looks like, and I've listened to the Bombcast and Kind of Funny and everything. It looks like they've all they've done is direct ports of those games to the Switch, right? And
they basically made them playable.
They made them playable there, right? And Super Mario 64 it's not even like the updated DS version of it where the graphics were a little bit improved over the N64.
They were improved because the screen was like this big.
The textures were better and the models were more detailed for sure.
I know.
It's like not even that. It's just straight up Mario, and there's value in that. Me personally, the minimum I was hoping for with Mario 64 at least was to get like the Halo Anniversary where you could go back and forth between new graphics and old graphics, keep the geometry the same, but just like, polish it up a lot, right? And make it like look and feel good, like the original did. But they didn't do that.
Yeah, well, it remains to be seen.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they do improve upon it, because there are moments in Super Mario Sunshine that I enjoyed more than any other moment in any other 3D Mario game. But if it is kind of just the same, I fear that the narrative when this game is going to come out is, man, Super Mario Sunshine hasn't aged well, editorial in Kotaku.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Well, for the record, it hasn't.
Yeah.
No.
So,
I mean, I'm looking forward to going back to Galaxy because that's one of my favorite games ever.
I'm looking forward to it too, actually. That's probably, I mean, I don't know if I would say that it's second to Super Mario Sunshine just because of all its issues. It's definitely like, it's up there as one of my favorite in the 3D realm.
So, but what I realized though is Nintendo knew I was getting married on September 19th. They said, hey, Mitch, you know how you're going on a honeymoon? Well, you're just going to play Mario the whole time because they're releasing this the day before your damn wedding.
Man.
That's why you're streaming on your honeymoon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna take my whole PC
sense.
with me so I haven't even tried hooking up the Switch to this thing yet. I'm in progress, okay? The layout is only set up for Avengers right now, so it will be avenging, but we'll see. I think we can move on to our
I haven't played 64 and Sunshine. I started Galaxy when I started dating my now wife. So I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited about this 3-pack.
Can't wait to watch you bust through those on twitch.tv/Spoonr 3 O's no E.
Oh, thank you.
That's all this is for, man. You plug your stuff all night. It's not a problem. We even have a Twitch command for it. And with that, we can move on to the next piece of news, which is we record this on Wednesdays. Wednesdays are not normally big news days. This is literally the only thing we're going to talk about for the rest of the news, and that's everything we learned today about the launch of the next generation of Xbox consoles.
I have a quick prediction. Tomorrow, PlayStation will announce their price.
I don't think so, because tomorrow is UB Forward.
Because
who knows?
We are recording this podcast today. Tomorrow, PlayStation will announce their price.
There have been rumors. Part of the reveal of the Xbox Series X is tied to leaks that happened yesterday, and Phil Spencer has come out and said that they pushed up the announcement of this because of that, and that it was originally planned for next week. I can imagine that we're going to see something before the end of next week. We'll know the details of the PS5 launch.
I mean, Sony has no regard for any other brand. They just like to drop info whenever they feel like it anyways. So
it's just going to be a blog post or a tweet, just like the Xbox news was.
They're just going to throw it in the air, and then it's just going to happen.
So speaking of the Xbox news, let's get into some of the details, then we can hop back into it. So right. Xbox has revealed that the Series S, I have to be very careful about the way I say that, is a thing and will be releasing the same day as the Xbox Series X. It'll support up to 1440p, 120 frames per second, ray tracing, and more. The CPU is similar to that of the Series X. It will only feature a 500 gigabyte SSD as opposed to or 512 gigabyte SSD as opposed to the 1 terabyte SSD in the Xbox Series X, but will offer the same expansion slot that the Series X does to allow you to expand that. It does not have a disk drive, so it will be digital only. And it will retail for $379 Canadian dollars.
How
the Series X. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just about to ask about the Series X in Canadian dollars.
It will be $599 Canadian dollars. So you're looking at roughly half, or a little more than half. But the news doesn't stop there, because Xbox also announced that EA Play is coming to Xbox Game Pass at no additional cost. EA Play is EA's equivalent, essentially, of Xbox Game Pass, and it'll allow you to stream older, or it'll allow you to play older EA titles. So like last year's Madden or FIFA, Battlefield games, Dragon Age, Anthem, if you were a crazy person. And the big one for me is all of the Mass Effect games are in there. So that will come to Xbox Game Pass at no additional cost to consumers on both PC and console.
As somebody who is not into sports games, but has a girlfriend who is into sports in general, that's kind of exciting because I won't buy a sports game like a NHL or anything like that. But if it's just there, I might get it and play it and hand her a controller, and that'd be great.
So, for this EA access coming to it, do we think that, or EA Play, do we think EA Play has not been doing as well as they were hoping they would if they're going to tie the service into Game Pass?
I think that's a safe speculation.
I think it probably could have done better, but I think it's also Xbox realizing that. So a few weeks ago, I talked a bit about the Bob Iger autobiography that I read and how his investment for Disney into streaming with ESPN plus Disney Plus was him looking into the future of where media consumption was going. I think Microsoft is making those same moves now with Game Pass. They know that having this service as ingrained as it is at the start of this generation, with as much value pushed into it as they can, is going to get people into their ecosystem. I am not an Xbox player. I just built a PC. Game Pass on PC is $5. That $5 now includes EA Play. Why wouldn't I keep subscribing to the service for the amount of value they're giving you as a consumer? So I think it's a bit more of a long play as opposed to Sony, who seems to be holding everything a much, much tighter to the chest.
It was a good pregnant pause. I appreciate it.
I tried. Yeah. Also announced today, because today is just Xbox Day, on the 20th anniversary of the PlayStation, or 30th? No, 20th. I don't know numbers. An anniversary for PlayStation and Dreamcast. They announced that Xbox All Access will expand to 12 countries this holiday season, which will allow people to start gaming in next gen for just $25 a month for 24 months with no upfront cost. We do not yet know what these prices will be in Canada, because Canada is one of those 12 markets that they're expanding to. But this totally changes the narrative of what next gen launches look like for Xbox. It's not, $380 or $600 to get you in the door. It's $33 and $46 or something like that, like $35, $45 a month to get a brand new console, 2 years of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which includes Xbox Live Gold and Game Pass for PC. It includes xCloud. It now includes EA Play. Like, Microsoft's going all in on this launch, and I'm very, very impressed by the moves that they're making.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Yeah,
I think given the cards that they have kind of stacked against them, mostly being first party games, almost non-existent, especially at launch, in the launch window or whatever, they're doing the absolute best with what they have available to them, for sure.
Yeah, what excites me the most about this move, this is the financing thing, right? This is what they're calling it?
And in Canada, it'll be financing it through EB Games. So you'd go to EB Games, you want an Xbox, you don't want to pay the $400 up front with tax, then you do $20 or $30 a month, whatever it ends up being, and you have Game Pass that entire time, which is huge value, especially if you're investing in a Series S and not a Series X. Like, I'm blown away, honestly.
Yeah, I saw a tweet earlier that said about how much this move does for people accessing the console. So like people who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford it at all, ever, at one go, can now absolutely afford it and like get it budgeted nicely into their lifestyle and just own next gen. And it's really cool. It's a really cool move on Xbox's part to allow this console, this new generation, to be a little bit more accessible to like all the statuses of life.
Yeah.
I stated on Twitter that I'm going to be probably getting the Xbox Series S because, as previously we discussed on the podcast, I just don't see much of a value in getting the higher end model. Am I immature for nonetheless yearning for the X because it has discs and the Xbox Series S is entirely all digital? Or should I be delegated an idiot for not realizing beforehand that that was what the S was going to be?
I know how Nathan and I feel on the disc versus no disc issue. I also know how Spoonr feels, so this could be fun.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
I've mentioned more than once that I'm going with the digital PS5 just because less clutter, and I know Nathan's been all digital since the Vita.
Yeah, Vita. It's been years and years.
But Spoon, I know you're a collector, so
These aren't pictures. All right. These aren't pictures of my favorite toys. Okay, guys? No, I'm physical boy all the way through. Although, Cozy, I think I'm with you. I think down the road I'm going to be getting I'll probably pick up a Series S as well.
Yeah, if you're getting it as just sort of like an exclusives machine and you don't want to keep your PC
absolutely.
up to date,
Xbox Game
then that's the way to go. Especially if you don't care about 4K. I know it upscales to 4K, but if that's not really important to you, then that's perfectly acceptable, and that's a good route to go. But the other thing you can look at Cozy is, well, if it's $35 versus $45 a month for 2 years, that's only $200 over 2 years, but you won't notice it because it's only $10 a month.
$10 a month. Yeah, honestly, if you're debating it that much, the value is there.
Yeah.
The value is there in the investment for the console, and especially knowing how sort of future-proof the Series X is going to be. If that matters more to you than just going all digital, then like, I mean, I'm not trying to be an enabler, but I'm just,
we're just totally enabling you to do whatever you want.
Totally what we do for each other.
And honestly, this financing option actually ends up being a pretty good deal for consumers, because you think Game Pass Ultimate is what, $15, $20 a month, something like that. So you add that on top of the cost of the console, it actually ends up costing you less to go the financing route.
This whole thing is a steal.
If you're interested in Game Pass, which if you're getting into the Xbox ecosystem, why wouldn't you be?
So the thing is that earlier when I started off this year, I anticipated that I would still be doing stuff with gamers at the very end of this year. Seeing as how I'm not, I think I'm being a little bit more frugal subconsciously. So I think it remains to be seen if I manage to pick up a job over the next few months. And based on that, I'll probably make my ultimate decision on which console version I want to get.
That's a good way to go about it too.
For sure.
See where you are.
I mean, no, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, is this so? We're talking about just getting the one between the 1S and the one, or not the Series S and the Series X. Oh, the names are terrible. Is PS5 on your list as well, or are you just going to get one of the consoles?
I think I'm 99% confirmed that I'm going to get the disc version of the PlayStation 5.
Okay, just curious.
In that case, it's a thing where it's like, I know it's going to be more expensive, but I am like pretty locked into the PlayStation ecosystem. So, like for me, it's less of a decision there where it is with Xbox, which is a ecosystem I'm coming into largely new.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because we now know pre-orders for the Xbox will start September 22nd. It will release November the 10th. Assassin's Creed has announced that they have moved up the release of Assassin's Creed Valhalla by a week or a few days to launch day and date with the Xbox. What else have we seen?
That's because Halo got delayed, right?
Well, no. Ubisoft would be doing that because they want to make sure that their game is out there.
They want their game to be out. Yeah, they want their game to be on the shelf next to that Xbox when people are going to buy that Xbox. Mostly because, I mean, part of it is going to be because Halo is not there. That's true. Because if you're going in, I know this happened with the PS4 as well and the Xbox. That year that they launched, there wasn't a lot from first parties, and Black Flag was right there. And I know a ton of people that own Black Flag just because that's what was available on launch day for that new console. So it definitely pays to be there for launch.
Did they mention if Xbox All Access is going to be launch only, or is it going to be something that's just going to...
it's an ongoing program in the US. So if you didn't want to get in on day one, I'm assuming you could still sign up for it down the road.
This whole financing thing isn't new?
No, it's been in the US for a number of years now, I think.
Oh.
It's just now they're expanding to other territories, including Canada. Yep. So Cozy, even if it's the PS5 and the cards this holiday, once things do, once you do find a job and have that steady income. And if this financing option is still there, it's definitely worth at least looking at.
Honestly, I was gonna say, hopefully, Sony does something to match that. That would be wonderful.
Hopefully, but I don't expect anything.
Yeah, I doubt it.
They seem a little stuck in their ways, unfortunately, whereas Microsoft is innovating left, right, and center. And I as a consumer appreciate that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There was something else I wanted to say, and now I'm forgetting what that was.
So sorry.
Comparing the two companies, I know we talked briefly about it before the podcast, but every company kind of has this battle with their own hubris every once in a while, and it seems like the one who is ahead at the start of a generation tends to fumble a little bit. There's no indications that PlayStation's going to do this, but if they want, I think, in my opinion, if they wanted to have as big of a success as they did with the PS4 specifically, like, yeah, sure, they've already got this huge install base of PS4 users and people who are so ingrained that they're just going to carry forward. But my pie in the sky, this is the equivalent of the Atom Boys giving Shuhei Yoshida the game because that's how you share games with friends moment, would be specifically if they announced that, hey, the disc version of the PS5 is going to match the Series X, and the discless version is going to match the price of the Series S. And the way they could spin that, right, because they would be taking a big hit in terms of money, but they would make it back up in digital sales. What they could pitch it as is, hey, no compromises in terms of quality of the games, because
digital and peripherals.
The Series S, you're going to have lower resolution up to 1440p, where the Series X is 4K, whatever. No compromises between the two PlayStations. That's just my pie in the sky. Like that's them like shooting for the moon. I don't think they're going to do that. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that's at all possible for Sony to do. They're not going to do it. I think they're going to be a little more reserved than that, but it's nice to dream.
I still think. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I dream of a world where Microsoft learns how to name consoles better, because this whole time I've been tripping over myself saying S or X. Whereas people are going to go into the stores this fall, all these boxes are going to be next to each other, and your choices are going to be PS4, PS4 Pro, PS5 disc, PS5 no disc, and then you've got Xbox One S, Xbox One X, Xbox One SAD, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, and the
parents
fuck,
are
Microsoft,
struggle.
Figure it out.
We're going to struggle this Christmas.
100%. It's going to be awful. I actually found an article earlier from Ash Parrish over at Kotaku that basically it was a whole op-ed of this whole naming scheme is dumb. They need to throw it out, and they won't, but they should, because it's terrible.
It would have been smart. So another thing that I mentioned before the podcast was Xbox. What they should have done, if I were in charge of the naming scheme, I would have said, okay, let's break this up into a decade. So you've got the Xbox 2020, right? And then that series, you got the lesser console, you got the higher end console, but it's the 2020 series. Then you're going to have 2025 as the half step, like we saw with the One X and the PS4 Pro. And then 2030 comes around, and then they have a whole new generation, right? And then everything is like on the new everything from the previous generation is forward compatible, but you can't play the 2030 series games on the 2020 Xbox. You got to get the 2030 Xbox or something like that. I don't know. I'd spent a lot of time thinking about this sort of stuff. PlayStation and Xbox should both hire me.
I mean, they'd be lucky to have you, and we would be remiss to say that we would not miss you.
Yeah.
We would be lucky to have you because the prices would be great too.
Yeah, yes. Think about it.
Did you guys see the memification of the design of the Series S though?
Yes.
Yeah, I showed the article on screen a little bit before.
I saw a great interaction between Oreo and Xbox, where someone put an Oreo where the vent is, and
That's
Oreo
incredible.
tweeted out about it, and then Xbox tweeted out I'll see if I can find it, but they tweeted out a Series S sandwich between two Series X's.
Oh, that's good.
It was real good. I'll see if I can pull it up here.
That's brilliant.
And it just escalated. Here, I'll drop it in the Twitch chat, Cozy. You can grab it from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But it escalates. It's like, what about double stuff? What about mega stuff?
Ooh.
And I love, for whatever reason, I know it's all corporate shenanigans, but I love seeing brands interact on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's how they take you over. You ever heard of
And,
Invasion of the Pod People? This is the 2020 version of it.
More or less. But yeah, like whoever was running the Xbox social accounts, like they memed the crap out of the fact that this leaked, and they actually spun it into a very fun story, and I appreciate it 100%.
Brilliant.
Yeah. All right, I think that's it for Xbox stuff, unless anyone has anything else they want to add.
Sorry.
Are we talking PlayStation price and release date by this time next week?
I just hope it's before the wedding, because I want to be able to talk about it with you guys and not be away on vacation.
I guess we'll find out. You can always do it while you're on vacation. Just do an emergency jump in.
You just wouldn't. I could do a jump in. You just wouldn't have my audio. That's the only problem.
No, it's true.
But I don't care. That's Alex's problem. He's not here, and we're all coming up with this idea. So I think just to mess with Alex, if it does happen, I'm 100% jumping in on that episode just to piss him off. And he won't listen to this anyway, except when he edits it. Oh crap! Why did I say anything? Yeah. Okay. Let's move on before he changes his mind and
Before he kisses on, yep.
before he listens to me. All right. I think that about wraps it up for the news. I know it was an extra long Xboxy focused news segment, but we're gonna muscle past that because I want to start talking about Avengers. So let's jump into read/watch all the things. So I found a couple of fun articles from VG247's Dom Pepyet. The first being that Modder has ported Doom and Skyrim to pregnancy tests.
Hell yeah.
So if you wanted to play Doom on a pregnancy test, this guy figured out a way, and I don't know how.
Powered by P.
How soon do you think that
that's
you're
fair.
going to have this in your life, Mitch?
Yeah, I mean, Alex isn't here, but I know he needs more Doom in his life, so now I can get it on a pregnancy test.
That's so wild.
Also, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is going to feature magic mushrooms, and you will trip balls in that game.
Oh,
Also
man.
on a pregnancy test.
Yeah.
Eventually, I wouldn't put it past them, to be honest.
I mean, in GTA 5, you can rip a bong, so,
Yeah.
it's nothing too new.
No,
Yeah.
the ESRB rating for the game suggests that you'll be able to consume some illicit substances, and it'll be a good old Viking time.
As
Yeah,
with
actually-
like,
Splendid.
That sounds great. I am actually really curious when that game comes out to see what countries specifically censor that stuff. Because I don't know if you guys remember.
Mm.
You guys remember the trailer for Wolfenstein: The New Colossus that was shown at like E3 2017? At the very end of that trailer, somebody consumes like speed or ecstasy or something, and a like weird cartoon lizard appears out of his mind. That was like totally censored in non-North American versions of that trailer.
yeah, I've only heard of, them censoring things like, in Germany, you can't exactly show Hitler, so they
Right.
removed his mustache or something like that.
Yeah,
So,
that's definitely happened.
yeah.
Anyways, just ultimately, I mean, it doesn't really concern us because it's not going to be censored for us, but
No,
Yeah.
definitely not.
Something to keep in
that
mind
always-
for foreign markets.
It's something that always sort of fascinates me, seeing things that get censored in foreign markets that we wouldn't even think twice about being censored here.
Yeah. Finally, another quick piece of news that I did pull that I wanted us to mention is that EA is adding Colin Kaepernick as a playable character back to the Madden NFL franchise.
Good.
EA Sports will make the quarterback a free agent available for the first time since Madden 18. For those who are unaware, Colin Kaepernick is one of the spearheads of the Black Lives Matter movement and the protest of the national anthem in the National Football League. He was then blacklisted by the league, even though they won't admit it, because we all know they colluded to keep him out of the league, and it's terrible. It's he deserves anything at this point.
And EA fumbled a couple of years ago with there was a song that mentioned him by name, and they censored that part of the song out and thought nobody would notice, but everybody noticed, and they got a lot of shit for that. So this is a step in the right direction.
I think, it's definitely a step in the right direction, but I'm expecting that next week we'll learn that they added in ads to NFL, and we'll have a news story to talk about.
Oh, God, because there was that other news this week of the ads in UFC, right? There was an issue with that.
It was it's like a month after launch, and then they patched in ads.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
They patched them out, though.
The fact. Yeah, they patched them out because people were like,
people got
what
mad.
The fuck? So,
but if people hadn't gotten mad, they would have left them. I don't know exactly what they added.
I feel like there's a place for that in free games, not in a full price.
AJ, do you know what they added specifically that was so egregious?
So in between rounds, there would be a spot that popped up on the screen, and it just said "The Boys," Amazon Prime, or something like that. Yeah, it's like, it was really stupid.
Didn't they do that in Burnout? I remember them doing that in Burnout, didn't they? Or Need for Speed?
They experimented in Burnout with the billboards, right? Where you're driving around real fast and not really paying attention to them, except the billboards were also a collectible that you had to smash. So that didn't quite work out so well. They attempted that 10 years ago at this point, 12 years ago, but it didn't stick around.
I don't know. I feel like they could have put ads in from the start. It is kind of very UFC to have ads in the way that they put them, very authentic. And they weren't too intrusive from what I saw. But that's something you can't just slide in a month afterwards.
I think if you paid for the full price version of a game, you should be getting the pay-per-view with no extra ads on the inside of it, whereas if they had put it out for free or something like that, or in the version that's available to EA Play, EA Access subscribers or something like that, maybe in that you put in the advertisements to make up the difference.
So I think it depends on the way it's done too. You can tastefully throw ads and just shout outs to brands and companies, but if you're just gonna blatantly The Boys, Amazon Prime in between rounds, I don't think that's the way to do it.
The Boys is really good.
I was just gonna say on a side note, I've watched the first 3 episodes. It's fantastic.
I want to get Carmen to watch the first season again. I watched the first season. I want to watch it again with her and then do season 2. Maybe we'll do that while we're away.
I tried watching the first episode, but the first 3 seconds, Christine's with me on the couch, and I'm like, nope, I'm not watching that with you on the couch. When the guy's literally just holding the hands.
Oh yeah, that was a little much.
That's how episode 1 opened, and I was like, it's okay, babe. I'll let you go to bed, and then I'll watch this on my lonesome. You're good. You're good. But if games decided to do it like Burnout did, that's tasteful. You know what I mean? There's always been brand sponsorships in games like Skate and Tony Hawk, and even in NBA, the Jordan brand stuff and the Nike shoes, that's obvious. That's part of NBA and the brand itself. If you can find a way to do ads in that sense, then that's totally respectable. But none of this blatant pre-roll ad Twitch channel stuff.
I'd just have it be ads for Monster Energy drink and what's the other
Press YYZ.
Tom Hart Hardy brands and stuff like that. I think
throw it in the writing of commentary and stuff like that.
I think if that stuff's there from the beginning, it's less egregious because honestly, it's not this is EA wanting more money, but if it was
absolutely.
if it was a game that might not necessarily get made if not for ad revenue, even charging a premium for that, because games are more expensive to make now than they ever have been, as long as it's not done in a way that takes away from the gameplay. So pre-roll ads, no. If it's integrated into the experience, it's not so bad.
Exactly.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but can we talk about Avengers now?
No. First, we have to talk about
Damn
the
it.
deals we found for the week.
And then we're talking about Tony Hawk first, right?
And
Yeah.
Tony Hawk comes first. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
Well,
Cozy.
I'm fine with
fine.
Nathan talking about Tony Hawk because that's something that he loves. But
All right, let's move on to its reigning deals since we were talking about Colin Kaepernick and then started talking about ads in UFC. Nathan, tell us about the PSVR sale.
Yes, so there's a PSVR sale that's going on right now. Today, I thought they were going to be doing more PSVR announcements today on the blog, but there was really only one from what I saw. But there is a good sale. I've pulled a few games that I think are well worth picking up. Iron Man VR, $40. Tetris Effect for $26.74. And these are all Canadian prices. Astrobot Rescue, that says message, but that should be mission, for $11.09. Blood and Truth for $18.49. Trover Saves the Universe, one of my favorite platinums recently, $23.99. Gorn, which I reviewed, $20.24. Paper Beast, which I reviewed, excellent game, $21.99. Ghost Giant, if you want to cry a lot and have your heartstrings tugged, $20.09. It made me feel things. And probably one of my favorite PSVR games, A Fisherman's Tale, at $9.99. There's some good stuff here. I think there's 150 games on sale for PSVR. So quite a it's a girthy sale.
Stop finding ways to use that word in every goddamn show.
and don't forget about Hatsune
I support
Miku
it.
Project Diva X for $23.99.
Hey, now we're talking.
Need
Let's
some
get those
anime in your
waifu
life.
games.
Just
No,
sink
you
it
know
all
what you
in.
do need in your life is the Spider-Man Sensational set on iTunes. So
One
for
good
that,
package.
for $30, you get Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Spider-Man Far From Home.
Oh my
Four
god.
of those are great movies.
I own them all
No,
already.
4 or 5 are great movies, and at that price, it's a steal.
That seems
is a
really
steal.
high. The amount of good
wow.
movies there. Like, aren't we certain that Spider-Man 3 is the only good Spider-Man movie?
All right, can I kick Nathan off the show now?
I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, it's nice knowing you, Spoon. All right, now let's move into our topic of the show. We're going to talk all about Tony Hawk, all about Avengers. Let's start with Tony Hawk because only 2 of us have played it, and Nathan wants to go do other things and not be on the show anymore. So, Tony Hawk.
It's good. It's really, really good. I have a long history with Tony Hawk, although I will say I never played the first one because I got into it when the second one released. And I was told at that point not to go back to the first one because the first one lacked the manual, which I gotten used to. So I never actually went back. So all the Tony Hawk 1 levels are new to me. But it took a little bit of getting used to, getting back my muscle memory, because I was telling you guys I was struggling really early on because I used to be really good. Like I knew how to revert and manual, and I could string huge combos together. The other night I strung a 200,000 point combo together. So I'm finally getting where I want to be with that game. So yeah, how about you, Andrew?
I've put a few hours into it at this point, but I've only unlocked 3 levels of the first Tony Hawk so far because I'm like,
Okay.
I'm the kind of person who like when I see a checklist, I want to like finish the checklist, but I can't seem to get in the first level the 50,000 point one. Now I was like I thought I was like the muscle memory would come back to me, but then I realized that as a kid, when I would rent Tony Hawk from like the Jumbo Video or the Blockbuster or whatever, I would always use cheat codes just to do the manuals and the grinds and everything like that and just play around and have fun, right? So I never actually learned the proper muscle memory on how to combo tricks together. So it's absolutely satisfying, and they absolutely nailed it. Like, this is what the Super Mario 64 remake should have been. They absolutely nailed exactly what this is. Like Tony Hawk 1 plus 2, which means it's Tony Hawk 3, I guess.
1 plus 2 equals 3. The math checks out.
Yeah,
It does check out. Yeah.
Yeah. They brought in some stuff from the future. Like there was talk that in this there wasn't going to be reverts at all. I remember like pre-release coverage was talking about that, but no, it's actually there. Like, I think everything that you want from the later Tony Hawks has come back into this. I know in the original there was only like five missions, five objectives per level, but for this they've increased it to 10, and made up their own things in there. One thing that is really weird is with the character creator, you can't put like glasses on them.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, like I don't wear glasses myself. You wear glasses.
Yeah,
but yeah, but other than that, the character creator looks really good. You're not like picking male or female. You're picking a face.
I like that.
You're picking a face, right? And it just so happens that face is attached to a gendered body in a way. But it's very progressive in that regard.
It's reminiscent of what games like Animal Crossing, for example, have been doing recently.
Yes,
yep.
Absolutely. Yep. And we spoke a little bit earlier about in-game advertisements. Like it's a skateboarding game. You need the skateboarding brands in there, and it's full of that. And at this point, I don't see any actual microtransactions. But it's Activision. They could be coming at some point. But what I would really like to see is eventually them add in like actual Tony Hawk 3, Tony Hawk 4, and see where they can take it from there.
Yeah, I think hopefully next year it's like a level pack for Tony Hawk 3 and Tony Hawk 4, because all the mechanics are in there. Because I don't know if we mentioned this, but the revert is not in Tony Hawk 1 and 2. It's
Correct.
Added. It was added in number 3,
yes.
But they've put it in here, so they've got the mechanics for 3 and 4 already built into this game. So really, all they need to do is a level pack and add those in, and I think people would pay for that. And the some of the changes they made to the levels are really amazing too. Because I watched a video from Digital Foundry, and it was Digital Foundry Retro, and they basically looked at Tony Hawk through the ages since the first PS1 game, and looked at all the ports and the quality and everything, and essentially then at the end compared the existing one versus the original versus what we have now, and it's like night and day the amount of detail and stuff they've put into it. And even things like the mall is now like abandoned.
Yeah, the mall's abandoned. The school is. There's a message on like a school board there that specifically says, something in relation to everybody staying at home and doing well in their online classes, right? So they're like there's a medical mask that I'm guessing they were able to throw in there like really quick and make it kind of topical, right? So it's definitely, and it actually all of the pro skaters in the game, they're not young like they used to be in the original. They have aged
old versions.
20 years with the game.
They're all
their
cool.
older incarnations as they are today, which is something really neat.
It's super cool. Like the amount of attention and detail at this point, I think Vicarious Visions is probably the second best supporting studio out there. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Crash is a bad game, just in general, because I don't think they play well in any fashion. But I think they did good on the remake and remaking a bad game. Where this time they had the opportunity to remake a really good game. And I think they've done a really excellent job.
Absolutely.
One thing I want to ask is, ultimately, do you think that it was the right decision to have it be a remaster of 1 and 2, or would you have preferred if they had gone 2 and 3, 2, 3 and 4, 2 and 4? Because, like, here's the thing: I don't have a lot of context for these games, but a series I do have a lot of context for is the Donkey Kong Country series. And I always get annoyed whenever Nintendo announces, hey, we're re-releasing some of the old Donkey Kong Country games, and they specifically only release the first Donkey Kong Country, or maybe just 1 and 2, when it's like 2 is the game in that trilogy, and also 3 as well, where things really kind of got good. The first one was solid in its own regard, but it was very much, I would say, a prototype for what was to come after it.
So I think there's Sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
I'm curious if there's. Oh, I'm just curious if there's sort of like if that's like an apt comparison to the Tony Hawk series, where like 1 was important, but like its sequels were more important and iterated on in really substantial ways. And like, was it ultimately the right move to bring back 1 as well in this fashion, or should they have maybe just focused on some of the latter games?
So with Donkey Kong, and I can only speak for myself, I've only actually ever played the first Donkey Kong, and I like 100%ed it, but I never played the other ones. And I wonder if that holds true with more people, where I feel like the Tony Hawk series got more popular and sold more copies as it went, because one kind of, I don't want to say fell under the radar, but really got into the public consciousness with number 2.
Yeah, that's what I know. Growing up, that's where conversations mostly started. I jumped into Tony Hawk when I was on the 3rd one, but every time I talked about the 3rd one, everyone was always like, "Yeah, number 2 though." And then you get to unlock Spider-Man and Wolverine, and like I was like, I've never played them, but yeah, that I think Tony Hawk definitely blew up at number 2. And to answer Cozy's question, I wished that they did the full trilogy, the first trilogy. As someone who jumped in at number 3, I'm my heart is broken for them to say 1 and 2 only.
Well, and that's why I think we'll see 3 and 4 come as DLC, and then if they want to attempt to do Thugs and American Wasteland,
I was gonna say, like, Thug is my Tony Hawk. That is where I found the series. So I don't think the story or the humor from those games would hold up at all. But I think I'd love to see that come back in some way, whether it's with a new story that has the same cast, but it's written in such a way that it takes place now. I think that could be hilarious. Don't just go beat for beat of the original. Like, do an original Thug story with the same engine. I think that would be really good.
Yeah.
For me, to answer your question, Cozy, I think Tony Hawk 1 and 2 was the absolute right move for this, because they were absolutely, like, as much as people like revere some of the later ones, in the last decade, Activision has kind of like taken Tony Hawk and kind of like slammed it into the ground. Like, if you remember Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5, that thing was absolutely abysmal. How it made it out of QA at all or anything is, a mystery, right? And they're also coming off the the Ride and the Shred games, right, which were those motion control ones, which were super cool in concept. And actually, I watched an interview with Tony Hawk on GameSpot from about 5 years ago. Danny O'Dwyer did it, and Tony Hawk mentioned that he actually really likes Tony Hawk Ride and Tony Hawk Shred, but it's they came out at a time where people were trying to get rid of plastic peripherals rather than add more to their house. And so, the Tony Hawk series has kind of been on like it needed a break for a while, and they kind of took that break, and like they released Tony Hawk Pro Skater HD, which was just the absolute original but with high res textures, which was fine. It was still the original Tony Hawk, but it was unambitious.
My understanding is that game also featured some wonky physics decisions that didn't totally jive with what older fans wanted out of the series as well.
No, it wasn't. It was physics issues, and it was a combination of levels from 1 and 2. So it really didn't represent as well as like this one's doing, for instance.
Yeah, and then we also got 5, which no one wants to talk about because it was a complete dumpster fire.
Oh my god, it was the worst.
I kept hoping 5 would get good and they'd fix it, and they didn't.
They did this instead, apparently, because it sounds like it turned out great.
Okay, okay. Imagine this: they don't, they got 1 and 2 out there right now, and then they add 3 into it. They add 4 into it. What are the chances they actually take whatever the hell 5 was and come up with like a new good actual version of no that old Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 that doesn't exist anymore. This is now Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5.
Or just do it as a reboot, use the same engine, same assets, and just do something new with it. New story, new modes, new whatever.
Yeah, anything.
So yeah, any final thoughts on Tony Hawk around the table, the series or this game?
No, I think it's really good and absolutely worth. It's not full price. I only think about it in like American dollars at the moment, but it's 40 US. So it's not a full $60 game. Right, which is absolutely astounding for this. Like, I saw somebody in the chat say that the multiplayer is a little mediocre and a little half-baked, but the majority of people aren't really going there for the multiplayer at this point. So this is a good foundation for the future, and they can add on to it with whatever the hell they want.
I will say I played multiplayer Monday night Tuesday night. I don't know, one of the nights with Joe from the Trophy Room podcast. And we were just like, it was just the two of us, but we were jumping in and out. And I actually didn't mind the multiplayer because it was just quick sessions over and over and over again on different levels, like best combo, best score, graffiti. And it would just kind of cycle through them. You don't really have control over it, but it was kind of fun. It was all quick. Everything was timed very quickly. So it felt like it had a nice pace, and like it would always move quickly. So I don't mind the multiplayer. It definitely could, like, there's more they could do 100%, but for what's there, I actually didn't have a bad, I had a good time. So
yeah, this is one that I've been looking at. Yeah, I've been looking at this on the Epic Game Store specifically because I've still got that coupon they gave everyone a couple months back or whatever. So I get the game even cheaper, which is like, and I got this PC to play it on now. So why the heck not? All right. I think that about wraps up what we have to say on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. Nathan, I know you wanted to bounce out after we got through that, so I'll give you a chance to plug all your stuff, what's coming up, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, sweet. I appreciate that, guys. I have to play Kingdoms of Amalur because I got a code yesterday and I haven't had a chance to play it yet, and they'd like me to review it pretty quickly, so I need to get on that. I'm guessing next week we'll be talking about Kingdoms of Amalur a little bit more. But that being said, you can follow me on Twitter at @the_NMAC. Check out my reviews for Party Hard 2. Should go live tomorrow or the next day, I believe. So we should have some good stuff coming down your way, and I appreciate it. And Spoonr, thanks for the great artwork for the logo for the podcast. Really, really appreciate it. I think it's really great.
My pleasure. All right. I'm glad you guys like it.
All right, Nathan, we'll see you next week, but we're going to continue with talking about it's hard for me to put into words what Avengers is. Like, it's a game. It's the game I'm going to put the most amount of hours into this game over anything else that has already come out this year. And it's also not great, which is weird.
Wow,
so let's just go.
I'm shocked that you started off by straight up admitting that. Like, I thought that
it's not. It's not. Like, there's tons of bugs. There's tons of it. Like, this game came out half-baked. This game should not have released when it did, but it did, and I love it. But it has a lot of things that has to fix, for sure. Spoonr, Allan,
yes?
Mr. Martinez. Apart from the logo, we had you on the show because you are probably the biggest Marvel nut that I know outside of myself. Actually, probably more so than me, to be honest. So,
I feel like
initial thoughts.
We're probably in the same level. It's like Mulan. It's very good. It's
so like a 7, good. Like a 7.
Yeah, it's a spicy, hot, good game.
Yeah,
like it's a very strong 7. I'll even go as far as 7.5. That's where my heart takes me. I think as soon as there's a bit more polish to it, as soon as a few more patches come out, it's gonna hit 8.5 for me, 100%.
Okay. Let's go over. I know AJ, you haven't played it, so we'll go around the table. We'll talk about how far we've gotten in the game, and we'll keep this spoiler free because I know. Well, I'll start with myself. I got the game on release day on the Friday, and stayed up until I had that day off. I stayed up until like 3 a.m. and finished the story that day. I couldn't put it down. It's so good. Cozy, whereabouts did you get to in the game? And a good way we can do this maybe is we can talk about the number of characters that we have instead of getting into like any spoiler territory. So Cozy, I think we talked earlier, you've unlocked all the characters at this point, right?
Yeah, based on other people's impressions, I believe that I'm at the penultimate mission of the game. I'm at the part where you have to harvest certain resources before heading into a large confrontation with a sinister threat that is encroaching upon the Earth's livelihood. I'll put it that way. Yeah.
Spoonr, around the same point,
I'm pretty much at the same spot. Yeah. I'm about to start that mission.
Okay. Interesting thing about the story is everything is linear. Everything is click this mission. It's the next Story mission. That's the only exception where you have to go into other multiplayer missions to gather these resources for the penultimate mission, which is kind of, I mean, it makes sense to try to get people to dabble in the multiplayer. It is, yeah. You cannot. There's no mission tied to gathering those things. You have to go do another mission and beat up bad guys that give you the things you need.
Now that I heard your logic behind it, I get it. Maybe they should have done it a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, I think there might have actually been the opportunity to do this more than just once. I get that it is like, it's only I think for me it was about a 10-hour experience to get through the single player. And I beeline the single player, no other missions except for the 2 I ended up doing to collect those resources at the end. I love the story they told. Kamala Khan is as, wide-eyed, like, uber fan. Like, I see myself in the character of Kamala Khan because she's so into this and I am so into this. And by the end of it, Nolan North's Iron Man is not a ripoff, RDJ. He is his own version of Iron Man. Troy Baker is his own Banner. Like, by the end of it, I'm shocked they delivered the single player that they did, to be honest.
How spoilerish are we getting with this? Sorry.
I can tell you I don't exactly care. I'll play it at some point. But don't if you're holding back for my sake, don't worry about it. If it's for the audience sake, use your discretion.
All right.
I want to say myself, I like Kamala Khan a lot as a character. What I will say, though, is that I definitely enjoyed the segments at the beginning of the game in which we got to see Kamala Khan geek out a lot and kind of try to bring the Avengers together and inspire them. Towards the end of the game, there were more than a few segments that I felt to be very reminiscent of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, specifically Miles Morales' journey in that movie. And the way that it's done in this game is not bad at all, but there were more than a few segments, including a very poignant phone call with a boo that happens towards the end of the game, where I was like, this is very reminiscent of a specific scene in Into the Spider-Verse, and it's not quite as good. It's not bad, but it's just... It's not hitting in the same way, and that kind of took me out of the experience, IMO.
Yeah, I think part of that, too, can come from... I mean, we can call it superhero fatigue at this point, unfortunately, where there's so much great, really, really good content that's getting delivered to us, but there's also a lot of the same story beats that we do see across a few of these properties, unfortunately. So it does, at times, feel a bit samey, but I still love what they did.
I mean, as someone who's read comic books since I was a little boy and collected them, and my parents still have all my issues still at their house. Thankfully, they're still hanging on to them and not burning them instead. Samey is something, I guess, not that I'm used to or desensitized to, because it's all of these stories that sort of stem from each other and just draw inspirations from each other, and they every time it's getting spun in different ways, and I guess for me, in the way I choose to consume these materials and things, that I really don't mind the fresh takes and the new looks of these things. And so when, for you, Cozy, when Abu calls, oh my God, that hit me in the gut.
Yeah, her relationship with her dad is very, very special, and I know it is also to a number, to see a Muslim woman be the center of this huge blockbuster Marvel campaign. And I saw on Twitter there were a number of people who hearing her dad call her Beta, and that the significance of hearing that, seeing and hearing the representation of people that look like you in the content you consume is very special. We saw that with the passing of Chadwick Boseman, how emotional people got over that, and I think that just goes to show how much representation can matter.
Oh, it's a big thing nowadays, especially Cozy, another thing that I wholeheartedly agree with you is at the beginning of the game, when we're just seeing the world through Kamala's eyes in A-Day, when that moment comes and she meets that very first superhero she meets, oh my God, I think I started crying.
Well,
you could probably check on stream. I started crying.
I want to talk about that as well, because I really like that stuff. And what I liked about her first meeting with that superhero and all the subsequent superheroes that she meets with is I feel like it perfectly encapsulates the emotions that are running through one's head when they encounter a celebrity that they look up to the first time.
Absolutely.
And like the kind of weird interpersonal relationships where, both of you share this one common interest, which is the celebrity in question, but outside of that, it's like, what else do you really kind of have in common? And I like how all of Kamala's interactions were kind of underscored by that slight awkwardness of like, hey, I'm the daughter of Pakistani immigrants living in America, and you're like a person who's been frozen in ice for 50 years or a god from another dimension. And it's like, we both love you, but there's not a whole lot else in common between us. And I loved how they, again, just captured both the glee, but also slight underlying awkwardness of meetings like that.
Her fangirling all over the place just meant so much to me. Those are such big moments for me.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a number of other story beats we could get to and touch on, because there's just all these little character moments that just feel so naturally Marvel, and not necessarily like MCU Marvel, but just like it just feels like it just feels good to see these characters interact in the way they do. And like I said, Troy Baker is this Hulk for me now. It's not, Mark Ruffalo ripoff or RDJ ripoff or I mean,
I think that's important to know how to separate this game with previous materials.
That being said, we're not going to spoil anything in the story in any significant way, but like Widow and Thor are just not there. Like,
no,
I don't feel like they use the characters to their full. Like the game is like, I feel like the story and just the story. Like, I'm sure it'll open up with the multiplayer and all the content they're going to add after the fact, but it does really center on Kamala, Tony Stark, and Bruce Banner.
Oh, absolutely.
All the other characters are sort of just tangential to the experience. That kind of was a bit grating to me. Like, I would have liked to have seen more of that once the team is reassembled, so to speak. But it is what it is.
We don't know, what was and was not cut out of this game on the road to its release, and we might never know for some time. But with Natasha and Thor, it definitely does feel like there were plans to foreshadow their introduction into the narrative a lot sooner than they actually appear, and that a lot of that stuff was just cut out. And
I think they did Black Widow perfectly. But that's you need to know Black Widow's origin to get that foreshadow.
Yeah, see, I didn't get it. I had no clue when that reveal did happen that we're not going to talk about, but like I was just like, oh, that makes so much sense now. I'm a big dumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the whole banter of her and Tony Stark after that, it's like, oh my, like it's so comic book and I love it.
Yeah, I think I said it on stream. This game is a comic book that I've wanted to play through, if that makes sense.
No, that's exactly how I feel about the single player.
I do want to say, like I said that, this game, it feels at times like certain segments were cut out of it. To kind of look at things from a more positive perspective, though, I do feel like, to me, this is a good example of a game where clearly it was made on a very kind of compressed time schedule. And I think that they very smartly looked at like, all right, what should we keep in and what should we cut out? And I think that they were very smart in terms of let's keep these things in and we can kind of sideline these things as well. I feel like over the past decade, there are a lot of games you can point to where clearly the developers wanted to cut as little as possible, and that resulted in a much lackluster product. Here, they made some hard decisions, but I think that ultimately in the end improve the experience, even though you can sometimes see the cracks in the walls. And I realize that sounds like I'm damning the team, but I do want to praise them because I think that is like, it's not easy to do, determining like what do we have to cut to ultimately still arrive at a really solid and cohesive product in the end that feels polished all the way through. I think that's not.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's definitely, that takes talent to filter out through the content that you've created and see what needs to stay and what needs to go. I think that's an important thing to have with anything that you do, basically. But like one of the things that I do love the most about this game is that you can honestly tell how much love and care there is for the entirety of Marvel history. Like I am geeking out over the nameplate artwork because there's covers and issues that's in my parents' basement. Like those are in my boxes.
Yeah, when I got that
Like,
Extremis nameplate for Iron Man, I'm just like, yes.
It's so good.
Also, yes, because the Raptors just scored a 3. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted.
Oh no. Cut that out, you're a host.
No, but I think ultimately, like, there's a lot the game does well, and I think we talked earlier, like, if they had added more of these, you have to go in and play, like, basically pushing you into the multiplayer portions of it as well, it wouldn't have felt as tight of an experience as it was, because even that one time it happens, it pulled me out of it. So I'm like, okay, where do I go? Oh, there's no, like, I've just been following this mission chain and now it doesn't exist and I have to go figure out something else and Google it, because I ended up being like, okay, one of these resources wasn't in the first thing I tried, so which mission's it actually in? And I can give you guys that tip so you don't make the same mistake I did. But there's there's it's definitely rough around the edges. Like it did not it could have used more time, but at the same time I think it was like with a product like this, it's going to constantly be changing and evolving. That this game today, as like a 7.5, whatever you want to call it, is going to look totally different in a year from now. And like we had a few weeks ago, we predicted Metacritic score or Open Critic scores for the rest of the year, and none of us had this above a 6.
I still think it's going to get delayed.
Yeah, you still think it's getting delayed? No,
Yep.
I still think Cyberpunk's getting delayed, but this one's kind of out. This one's left the station. It's going to go the Amazon route of that game that they released and then unreleased.
NBA Live Elite.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Oh my god.
So, like, honestly, for this game to be as, like, people are really liking the story, and as the only one of us who's gotten into the multiplayer portion, it's really good when you have, like, it's going to be a game where I play it with friends and we talk about the news or games or, you know, how I'm freaking out about planning or, you know, not planning a wedding, but being involved with a wedding because my fiance is, you know, a workhorse and amazing and she's, you know, carrying the load. I'm just here to help. But it's going to be one of those games where it's like appointment gaming where we're just going to get together and chat as friends and blow stuff up as the Avengers. And honestly, there's more story content to it too outside of the campaign. Like there are the iconic missions which give you a little more context to some of the characters, which is great. And I mean, I am very happy with this game. I know it's not my game of the year. It's not even close because there's been so much good stuff out this year, but it is the game from this year that I will still be playing in 2022, which I cannot say for anything else that came out this year.
No,
not even Animal Crossing.
I'm 100% with you there. I cannot wait to play this game with all of you and all of the friends who have gotten it and are excited to grind out missions with me. I'm super excited to team up with everyone. I've said this before and I've said it a bunch of times and I'll keep saying it, but this is what I wanted Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 to be. 100%. This is exactly what I needed from Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Like this is how I wanted like next gen Ultimate Alliance or X-Men Legends even. God, if they bring the X-Men into this,
I mean, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, right?
I will cry so many tears of joy.
We saw X-Men DLC for MUA 3 and the developers have already said nothing's off the table. Like it's not like when Marvel was like, yeah, you can only use what you want to use. No, like I think the Spider-Man thing is going to leave a bad taste in some people's mouths just because exclusivity is ultimately bad for the consumer, depending on which side of the fence you fall on. And I know there are people that, you know, there's arguments for and against this type of thing. And I know it's going to push more and more people to the PlayStation version. So from that aspect, it's a brilliant move from Sony to get this character as exclusive. But as the developer to say, oh, we have access to everything in Marvel. What's the first character we want to work on? 90% of their employees are going to say Spider-Man because Spider-Man's the most popular superhero.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's him and Batman basically, right? Neck and neck, I would say. But from a Marvel perspective, yeah, you want to put Spider-Man in there. And if there's only one way to do it, fine. But I think with Marvel getting back the Fox properties, I don't think there's anything that's off the table at this point for this game. And that unknown of like, we know we're getting Kate Bishop. We know we're getting Hawkeye. They teased in the war table that we are getting Black Panther in some form. Like they wouldn't have created the icon if There wasn't
I
already
cannot
plans.
wait for that announcement.
We got the leaks of the files that were in the PC beta. We know Spider-Man's coming next year. We know there's a pipeline of content coming to this game, and that give me a reason to come back to this game every month, and I will keep playing your game.
I gotta say,
Absolutely.
the way we started out this conversation, I thought you were gonna be way more negative the entire way through, Mitch. So it's a little surprising seeing how positive you kind of ramped up to being.
We can
I
go
do.
through the negatives of this game.
Yeah, I have a few, honestly, that I haven't gotten to yet.
Oh,
I just wanna-
I've made a list.
So
You've made a list.
before we get into that, I just kind of wanted to give like my outsider's perspective and kind of like, from the things I've heard and what kind of inspired me not to pick it up specifically. So one of the criticisms of it is that it's not bad to play single player and you have your AI teammates behind you, but of course it's going to be best with a group of friends, right? In regards to the single player aspect of it, I feel like from what I gather, some people are saying that it might have been better if they had taken instead of investing time into the games as a service aspect of it and making it a Destiny like and potentially learning some of the right and some of the wrong lessons from Destiny over the years. What they could have done differently, like one of the things that I heard described was when you're playing as one player or one character, what if there was a button where you could just switch to your AI companion and you're suddenly just playing as that character? Like, if this was a focused single player experience where you were playing as the entire Avengers and, you could swap back and forth like, hey, I need to go over here. I'm going to be Iron Man and run over and fly over there. But, oh crap, Black Widow's getting picked on down there. I'm going to swap to Black Widow and then, be the AI, be the player, and then kick ass out of, get Black Widow out of her precarious situation or whatever. Hearing some stories like that and whatnot, just kind of, it didn't. I was not optimistic about this game, and I hearing your guys' enthusiasm for the story and everything, does make me kind of want to pick it up, but I think at this point I'm gonna wait until next gen when like loading times are down.
Spider-Man is there.
Spider-Man is there.
When they replace the penultimate resource gathering mission with something else.
Yeah, something, anything. But yeah.
I mean, another one of the major pain points is something that I remember just because of what you brought up, AJ. There are certain doors that can only be opened by certain characters. So Iron Man and Black Widow can like hack certain doors. The bigger characters can blow up like destructible doors, but they can't do the opposite action. So like if you're not playing as Hulk on a level with a destructible door, you're not getting the gear that's behind that door. And vice versa, if you find a hacking door and you're playing as Kamala, you're not getting through it. So like it's these little things of like, if there was a ping system or a way to like instruct the AI what to do, like go smash this thing, that'd be great, but there isn't. And seeing that you're missing out on this thing is also kind of just, it triggers FOMO of, oh, if I'm playing this with other people, we're not going to miss this stuff. And it's still, again, just trying to excuse me, subtly push you into the multiplayer aspects of it, which for a game of this type is okay. But like when I'm running through the single player, I don't want to see a room that I can't go into with the character you're telling me to play as. Like it can be a bit messy from that respect.
No, honestly, that's totally fair. I would love to be able to switch between characters. I feel like it would be doable because I mean, like every character, even the AI, has all of their abilities and all of their gear equipped and stuff anyways already. But I don't know how much it would take to code that or develop that. And obviously their vision was to have it so you play with friends. But yeah, that if you had that mechanic, that would be an 8. That would have pushed this game up 0.5.
I think like knowing how complex, like we see how much it has to load to get you into each level. There's like 4 loading screens you have to go through. So the amount of processing it must be doing in the back end to be able to render that with your character, with its abilities, with the AI controlling everything else. I can see it being a technical limitation and being able to do that. Maybe the power of next gen unlocks that, but I think for now, because you have to think about this as you're designing for the lowest common denominator, which at this point is a launch Xbox One or PS4. Like they just can't handle like this game is a game that has to have been destined for next gen, basically since they realized next gen was the thing.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see a lot of improvements as we get closer to launch of the new consoles, and then also leading into next year with more content, more updates, more patches. I think that's where we're going to see a ton of that. Also, quick update for everyone here with us. It is Wednesday night. The Raptors just won Game 6 in double overtime. We're going to Game 7. I am excited. Let's go, Raps.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah. So
let's go.
We did it.
Right. We're talking about Avengers. So
yeah,
I was saying words
too.
And got distracted. Yeah, it did.
Here's one
make
word
for an interesting
with a
Game 7.
Can I give a word for a negative for the game?
You may.
Yeah.
Vibration.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh God.
G-bus.
Add to that
I mean, not
motion
G-bus
blur.
in chat, but like goodness gracious.
Yeah. Motion
vibration
blur.
is super excessive.
Yeah.
I think you can turn down the screen shake, so I guess that's something.
I think they added that after the beta.
I wish they did the same thing with vibration, because holy crap, there was a moment where my hands went numb.
See, for me, there was a moment where I put the controller down at one point and it shook its way off of my table.
I was going to say, that just means you have to put the controller somewhere else.
Oh,
if you're interested in having some fun, you know where to put that controller.
You plug it in so that the battery doesn't die, because that much vibration in a rechargeable battery is not going to last very long. And I know people are going to say, oh, just get an Xbox and then you don't have to worry about rechargeable batteries, but no one wants to work with double A's. Come on.
I'm kind of surprised to hear your complaints about vibration, because that's not really something I had to deal with, to be honest.
Oh, really?
No, I can't say it's really a complaint of mine during the game.
I've felt it since the beta, and it was just absolutely excessive.
I think they might have toned it back a bit from the beta. I didn't find it as egregious as I did when playing the beta. In the beta, it was like my hands were shaking when I finished playing. Here it was less of that, but it still needs work for sure.
I can agree with the motion blur point though, but thankfully the moments where it's very motion blurry aren't too often.
I am wondering though, is, pie in the sky, we all play this on PS4. Maybe it's not as bad on PC or Xbox. And I'm thinking maybe it's this bad on PS4 because they've already designed the game to take advantage of the adaptive triggers and the DualSense vibration and all that in the new controller. So maybe it's just for PS4, it's just an on or an off. But on the next gen, it'll have that ramp up to that real good vibration.
We need a Stadia take.
I agree.
Yeah, but we would have to know someone who bought it on Stadia to have that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Why isn't in that Avengers Discord? Why isn't there a Stadia channel yet? Like, yeah, sure, there may be one
PC.
Person, but like,
PC.
Count.
Well, there's at least one. So for those who don't know, in the Kind of Funny community, we created a Discord for people that want to play Avengers. Invite.gg/KF Avengers. And what started out as a 6-person Twitter DM thread is now over 300 people that want to play this game together. And the reason they want to do that is because public matchmaking is duty and a broken pile of dog crap.
Oh, no.
It's like, if you get into a game with somebody, think about it this way. We're all on voice comms saying, oh, I'm going to this objective over here. Oh, there's a box here. Oh, there's what? You just end up in a game with someone who just runs the main objective, doesn't get any of the side stuff, and just leaves you behind, does whatever they want, just pulls you through the experience. That's not going to be fun. We're lucky that we're probably not going to have to deal with that, because we'll either play on our own with AI because we're antisocial nerds, or we'll use that, or a combination of that Discord, the Kind of Funny Toronto Discord, Spoonr's Discord, to find a group of people that want to play this game. Because there's always someone who wants to play this damn game because it's so much fun to play with people.
Yeah. Wholeheartedly agree.
But that's definitely an issue with the game. Matchmaking needs to be fixed. They need to add a ping system.
I think they're working on it.
They've talked about it.
Yeah.
Could this game have used 6 more months in the oven? To put that stuff in it before they release the whole thing?
I mean, they already did. I feel like this game, it was, I don't know if it was Square or if it was Marvel, but someone said this game's got to come out before the new consoles come out because they want to be part of the conversation at launch. Now, knowing that at the console launch, we're going to see within launch window Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank. On Xbox, we're going to see. So they want to be part of that conversation of when you talk about next gen, you're talking about Assassin's Creed, you're talking about Watch Dogs, you're talking about Cyberpunk, and you're talking about Marvel's Avengers. I'm sorry, I had to. That was too good. I'm sorry.
I think they should bring Master Chief to the Avengers. I was
going to say Smash, but
that too.
Ooh,
Goku for Smash, Master Chief for Avengers on Xbox.
So,
anyway.
I mean, the game is not without its faults, but I'm still having a blast. I'm not going to stop playing anytime soon. Cozy, Spoonr, any final thoughts on the Avengers?
I think that the campaign is stronger than I think myself and many other people were anticipating it to be, but I think that it is also in many regards somewhat disappointing, and I don't have enough of an opinion yet on the entire multiplayer experience to say yet whether I'm going to be continuing to play it that extensively. I will still gladly play it whenever you have a moment, Mitch, and you need a fourth wingman, 100% all the time, because I've always got a podcast that I also want to listen to in the background, or some Japanese kind of idly tap away at. But yeah, it's better than I think myself and many other people were expecting, and I think that's ultimately put my whole opinion of the game in a much higher regard than I expected to be going into it, but that still doesn't discount the way in which this game kind of fails its source material.
Are you ultimately glad that, I know we talked about this for a few weeks, you wanted to get in on the ground floor of one of these games as a service? Are you glad that you're here right now in this conversation as part of this? Is this something you feel like you're going to want to grind to level 50, power level 150 on any of these characters? Also, grinding for the challenge cards or the character cards, that's going to take friggin' forever.
I would say, to answer your question, Mitch, ask me that in 2 or 3 weeks, because right now I have not at all wrapped my head around all the game's various systems. IMO, I think that they're a little needlessly convoluted, what with there being 8 different resource types and a dozen different vendors and so on and so forth. But there have been many instances in the past in which I've been unable to wrap my head around a similarly complicated system in games of similar natures to this one, and I eventually get around to it. So TBD.
Okay. Those challenge cards for those characters, they're going to take forever to grind out 1,000 credits for the next battle pass, and we knew there was going to be monetization in this game, and I wish it were, going to be easier to grind that out, but it's going to be a grind for that stuff. And that kind of still rubs me the wrong way, but I know I kind of interrupted our final thoughts. Spoonr, Allan, anything?
I am wholeheartedly loving the story. I've already said it that this is playing through one of my favorite comic book storylines that I've never read before. I'm digging it. It's because it's such a comic book vibe. Even all the moments, even all the cheesy moments and stuff like that, are just things I'm super down for, because I've always been down for. There are a bunch of bugs. There are some things that they need to fix. They do need to add a ping system for multiplayer. I'm though, to sum up everything that I'm feeling about this game is I cannot wait to finish the story tomorrow and hop in a game with you and other friends, Mitch, because I think this is going to be a game that I'm going to be playing weekly, 100%. The only thing that bothers me the most is how much I have on my plate in general. So you telling me how much grind it's going to take for those challenge cards to complete is breaking my heart. But let's do it.
If you focus on one or two characters,
26.
yeah, if you focus on one or two characters, you'd probably be okay. Like I was focusing on Cap. Spoilers: Captain America is in the game.
What?
Excuse me?
I'm sorry. It had to happen before the end of the show. So I was grinding his challenge card earlier today, and like the challenges were doable, but there were also some challenges of like complete 5 villain sector missions, which are the ones that always end in a boss fight. And if you don't have a team that's leveled that can go into that boss fight of 4 characters, either AI or not, you're going to get wiped in that boss fight. So it's like there's a bit of RNG-ness to it that I don't like out of the daily and the weekly tasks, but
that is one thing. Going back to what Cozy said about the amount of vendors and resources, the feeling of that like mobile game bull crap. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like oh, you only have this much energy. Oh, it sucks. You got to wait for tomorrow, and then like you need this much of this and this much of that. But then wait, you got to meet up with this guy and get all of his resources and go back this way. The only thing that like bothers me, like I think that's one of the big things of this game that bothers me the most is how
you got to be in it.
How convoluted it is. I'm just gonna go to the gear menu and just hold L2 and just equip the best stuff, and let me keep going back to my game.
That's fair. All right, AJ, anything you want to add to our conversation for a game you have not played?
No, I just I hope it continues to be as good for you guys as it seems to be. It seems like the story is there. It's just the game needs more something. I don't know what, but needs something.
I'm setting. I know I'm going to get lost in this game. I have set up a full stream overlay setup thingy that is just for Avengers. I do not stream games. I'm going to stream this game because I need more excuses to play this game.
Do it.
If I didn't have my branding and stuff already, I would have been on that same boat with you.
All right. I think with that, we can wrap up this lovely episode of Press YYZ, a video game podcast. Again, you can find us here at twitch.tv/PressYYZ every week at Wednesday around 8. And let's just go around the room. Everyone can plug their stuff. Cozy, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at AlexCozina, and you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/CozyBearLive. Right after the stream, I'm most likely going to be finally putting the end cap on the Avengers single-player campaign, so look forward to that.
AJ?
You can find me all over the internet at TimesHero, capital T, capital H.
Allan, thank you again for joining us for this lovely episode. Thank you for the wonderful artwork. And if people wanted to keep up with you, where would they find you on their internet?
First of all, thank you guys for having me. This was fun. I haven't, like I said before, I haven't podcasted in over a year. So this felt really good. This felt really awesome to jump back into. I was so nervous.
You did a phenomenal job.
You nailed it.
I think I thank you guys. Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to create the logo with you guys. That was a blast. You guys were really fun to work with. Socials, you can see it in chat right now, _Spoonr with no E on Instagram and Twitter. And then on twitch.tv/Spoonr with 3 O's and no E.
Yeah. And you can find me all over the internet at Mr. Mitch George, except on Xbox and Origin, but we can get into that at a later date. With that being said, thanks for hanging out with us, and more importantly, thanks for playing.